Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back. So last video I went to the track and we got the truck to do another 11.3 pass, 11.4 pass, and then it did 11.9 and whatever. Consistently 11. After I added the meth kit, it was still doing that, so I added the meth kit. Temperatures were very good. I was able to increase boost, increase timing, everything was safe, but it wasn't going faster. So I was a little concerned about that, and it seemed like it was misfiring after one of the passes. So I came home, and then it was odd because it seemed like it was missing, and then on the drive home, it actually kind of cleared up a little bit. So that was strange, but I still dug into it when I got home, and ended up looking under here and finding that one of my spark plug wire was actually off. I did a little bit more troubleshooting. I want to show you what I found and what I think the condition of the engine is in and where we go from here. So after I found that the spark plug wire was off, I put it back on and went to go drive it, and everything seemed fine. And I even took it back off and went to go drive it, and everything seemed like it was fine. So it wasn't missing. I couldn't replicate the lean condition. As you can see on my third pass on the last video, on the return road, it was reading like in the 16s lean, and the other two passes it wasn't doing that. So even when I did remove the spark plug wire, it still wasn't, I couldn't replicate that 16.0 lean condition that I saw on the return road. So that makes me think that I did have the spark plug wire off the whole time, and something else was happening that was causing that miss, and it was reading lean, and that's why I decided to leave after that. So, because I did take it out with spark plug wire off and drove it around and stuff, and it seemed like it was driving just like it was when I took it to the track. So that's weird, and that would explain why it was down on power. If there was only 7 cylinders, one was unplugged, why adding boost and timing would still net me the same result with an 11.3. Decided I wanted to do a compression and leak down test, and what I started to do, I kind of did it backwards. I started with the leak down test on the passenger side, so I pulled the valve cover and everything off and started with the leak down, and then to me that didn't really make sense. So I went back through and did the compression test. But while I was on the passenger side, while I had the rockers disabled, I just took the whole rocker assembly out. I decided to check the head bolts and see if they were torqued right. Like if they were still tight after retorquing them, or after torquing them. I know that I torqued them to like 80 foot-pounds before. So I went down the whole passenger side just while I had that rocker assembly out and pulled on it, and the breakaway torque happened, and it actually pulled like another 15-20 degrees before it tightened, and then it came to where it clicked. So that was interesting. I went through just all the bolts that were under the rocker assembly and just left it at that. Next day I came out to do a compression test. Here are the results from the first test. So this is driver's side, this is passenger side. So what I noticed after I did this was the whole driver's side was kind of low compared to the passenger side, 160, 170, blah, blah, blah. And these are all in the 150s except for cylinder number 1. But what I did was I retorqued this side. So just for giggles, I went back over, I removed the rocker assembly, and then I retorqued the driver's side just like I did on the passenger side. And then I did a test immediately after that, and this was the result that I got. So 160, 170, 160, 170, same on the passenger side, and then the driver's side after the retorque, I got another 10 to 15 PSI out of almost the whole driver bank, except for number 7, which is still at 150. So that was kind of interesting, that retorquing the bolts actually brought my compression up. Like, I don't know if they were loose or stretched or whatever, but that definitely happened. After I got the second reading, number 7 cylinder stayed a little bit lower, so I did the leak down on that, and I compared it to cylinder number 1, which had a 170. Okay, so leak down for cylinder 1, we got 15%, and this was 170 PSI for compression. This is cylinder number 7. This one was 150 PSI for compression, and it's about 20% for leak down. Still pretty decent, so I'm not really too worried about it. One other thing I did was I ran it for a while with the radiator cap off, just let it run and make sure that it wasn't like bubbling or doing anything weird that would show a head gasket leak or anything else. So what do I think? Overall, what do I think? I don't think the engine's hurt at all. I don't think anything's wrong with it. So went through, verified a lot of stuff, tried to replicate that issue, couldn't do it. So in short, I don't really think that anything's wrong with the motor. I still want to go out and drive it and verify. I'm going to start logging transmission slip and torque converter slip and see if there's any issues with the transmission. And one other thing that I did find when I was really in my brain, deep in my brain today, was I started reviewing scans, old scans. So I went back and looked at my first 11.3 pass, and I started looking at my charging voltage, my alternator voltage. And what's interesting is my 11.3 pass, voltage is starting to drop. It drops down to a 12.5, which is pretty low. But then my 11.3 pass, after I added the meth kit, is like an 11.0 for voltage. So that may be one other thing that is contributing to my low fuel pressure, high injector duty cycle issue. If my voltage is dropping 3 volts, the pumps aren't going to be putting out as much. So that would make sense. Got to figure that issue out. Basically, I think it's just when you're spinning the alternator too fast, because I'm spinning it to like 6,500, 6,600 RPM before shifting, and the regulator actually just shuts off, so it's losing voltage. So that's what's happening there. Got to figure that out. Other than that, guys, one other thing that I do want to do before the next pass that I make, which will be in a few weeks, cut up my fancy muffler system that I just put on there. So I know I added the muffler, but just to eliminate that and make sure that there's no added restriction from the muffler, I'm probably going to cut it off around here, this section, and then just weld like a V-band on there. I think I talked about that before, but I'll V-band this thing so this is removable, and then it'll just be kind of just an open dump, and then I know I don't have any restriction from that. Next track day is going to be coming up in a few weeks. This thing's going to go on the back burner for a little while, and tomorrow, maybe tonight, I'm going to start working on this thing, get this assembly done, and try to get this thing running in the next couple of weeks to get it to the track on September 21st, I think is the day. So that's going to be the push now. I think that's one of only 2 more track days left, so stay tuned.